Listen, if you are stuck between $20 and $50,000 a month in business, you are probably your own biggest bottleneck. The reason I say this is because I speak to hundreds of business owners every single month from different industries with different offer types. And at this point, that is the biggest issue. A lot of people think it's their marketing and their operations, but it's always them. Now, the reason is, and it's not because the most founders are idiots, right? It's not because the founder is careless or lazy. It's most likely because they are still in what I like to call hustle mode. Now, when you're in hustle mode, you're aiming for cash. You just want to essentially, as Alex Hormozy says best, get the credit card of anyone with a pulse, right? And that's great when you're starting business, obviously to a certain extent. But when you're moving up the chain from around that 20 to 50K, but then 50K to 100K especially, you can't rely on anyone with a pulse. You have to rely on scalability, right? So by this point, you've most likely dialed in whatever your offer is and your core ICP, yeah? But you're still in that hustle mode. And that hustle mode, what that does is it's forcing you to continuously put in immense amount of action and not step back and look at your business as a whole, not give yourself an audit, right? So when we sit down and do an audit on the full business, we always look at the founder. And the founder, like I said, is most likely the issue. And one of the biggest issues, which you can take this away and you can look in on yourself in your own business here, is that the communication with their team is not efficient. And that isn't usually because of the founder. It's not necessarily their fault. Most of the time, let's take as an example, you have a setter on your team. Is the setter coming back and asking you a million questions a day? Even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, that adds up quickly in terms of time, right? And you want to get back to these people because most of the time they believe that they can't finish or complete their job or continue with their job without that answer to that question. But you've probably already answered it. If you're at this stage, most likely you have some form of SOPs. If you don't know what SOPs are, standard operating procedure. It's essentially a method that maps out exactly what that task or what that core role needs to do and how to do it. So as an example with a setter, that's going to say how to kickstart conversations, how to qualify a lead, what the process is on booking that lead into your calendar or a closer's calendar, and how to then reinforce them and make sure they show up with show rate if you're doing things right, that is. But that's an SOP. And a lot of times I've seen physical chats of setters in this example going back to the business owner, asking questions that have already been answered multiple times in the SOP document. And they either have to refer to it and they say, look, man, look at the SOP, that's what it's there for. Or they repeat themselves from something they said a couple of hours ago, or they send a 5-minute voice note lighting the setter up for asking the question in the first place. Regardless of what you do or how you take it, you're wasting a lot of time and your time is valuable, right? So that is something that needs to be fixed as soon as possible. And a lot of people hire for this, right? And fix that problem with a EA or a PA, right? But in this case, it's not worth it anymore. What a human can do, a PA or an EA, AI can do. And I know AI is a crazy word and everyone's sick of hearing it at this point, but sadly, it's the future. And if you don't join in with the future and the revolution that's currently happening right now, you're just going to get swamped by every single person in your competition and in your space, and if not more, right? And this is a very, very simple thing that you could do yourself. With N8N as an example, you can attach a AI node and you can just attach GPT 4.0 mini to it, or 4.0 mini or whatever it is, which is a decent model, and it is all that's needed for what I'm about to say. You can put together a FAQ document of your own business and what your staff ask you. And this will take a week or so, and you don't have to put the physical inputs. You can just have all of your messages running through that ChatGPT node, essentially. And it can be collecting all the answers to questions that you essentially get asked, right? And put them in a document. And then when you're ready, you can enable this very simple workflow to then fire off the answer to your question, or to, in this case, your setter's question, if you've already answered it. Yes, they should be using an SOP and you should reinforce that. But if they continue to come back to you, why not have completely be away from that communication line and communicate effectively by getting AI to answer the question you've already answered time and time and time again? That'll save you stress. It will save you time. It will save you being pissed off. And it will also, in just one way or another, save your setters time because they're going to get that instant response and that instant answer. Obviously, there's a lot of other fixes to this, like training and finding A players being the people that you can give a job to and that they will execute to 100% capacity and to their ability. And if they encounter a problem, they will try and fix it themselves within reason without coming to you. That's what I define as an A player. But most likely, your business is full of C and Bs, right? So with that, that's a great way to get your time back. But speaking of time, the next biggest bottleneck is usually the founder doesn't know where their time is going. The founder tracks their own employees' data, what they're spending their time on, how long spent in the DMs, how long spent in building automations if you're an AI agency or an automation agency. There's all of these things that are tracked. Great. If you're not tracking, you shouldn't be here in the first place. Start with the basics and track everything. Okay, so your marketing, your operations, your employees, your churn rate, your CAC, everything. Because otherwise, without tracking, you are naturally making an emotional decision when operating inside of your business. And emotions kill businesses. I've seen it time and time again. And if you have any logical part of your brain, you'll understand that too. You want to be making data-driven decisions, which are logic-based. Anyway, run over. If you're tracking everything else, why aren't you tracking yourself? And again, this isn't ego. This isn't, I'm lazy, when I'm tracking things and I'm spending my time on nothing. You don't need to prove that to yourself. You need to see exactly where your time gaps are. And time gaps meaning, let's say that you're involved in a task and you've been doing an hour straight of deep work and then you get interrupted by whether that's a team member, whether that's a client, whether that's something completely external, but that interrupts your flow. And from that point to, let's say, however long it takes you, and then plus another 10 minutes to get back into the flow, that's your time gap. And that time gap needs to be tracked. Because if you can go at the end of the week and see, hang on a minute, I lost 10 hours. Well, that's kind of an average at this point. 10 hours, which we've seen, that people are losing just to being interrupted. 10 hours in a week, that's a long time. And if you're doing anywhere near 20 to 50K a month, that time's worth a lot of money because then the deep work session that you had planned, you still have to do anyway. So you've just burnt these 10 hours for no reason. And a lot of it, like I said, can get eliminated by that team communication aspect that we spoke about a second ago. But as well as that, you can implement things like just time blocking on your calendar. And that can be simply and you can work this out if you've got an Oura Ring like I have, or a Watt band or a Whoop band, I think, one way or another. Anyway, or anything that tracks your health, or even just look at yourself during the day. When do you best operate? Me personally, I operate best at night. So in my night times, I have time blocks of deep work sessions where I know that I can get the best output of my work. And that way I won't be interrupted because I've blocked that off on my calendar. So that means no random client calls, no sales calls, no team calls, nothing to interrupt me. And my phone goes on DND and no one can reach me unless it's an emergency. And even then they've got to try bloody hard to get to me. Yeah. So within that session, I know that I can get those usually 4 hours of deep work done to then achieve the next goal. And then tomorrow, in this example for me, I can then deal with the work. Those that are great in the morning, well, there you go. You do all your stuff in the morning and then you can schedule in your calls and then you can deal with the fires that we output as business owners on the daily. Or if you've got a COO, maybe not. But you get my point, right? If you time block, you will easily pull back all of those hours, or at least 90% of them, purely because you have scheduled your day and what times you are looking to work. Now, the last one that I'm going to give you on this video is the what if I disappeared test. So what if you disappeared? What if you disappeared from your business for a month, right? 30 days. It's not a lot of time. But what happens to your business? Battle plan it out. Have a think whether you learn best by drawing it out or typing it out or just visualizing in your head. Have a think about how your business will be affected by you just suddenly stepping away. Does it continue to run? even at low capacity? That's step one. Does it still bring in money at very low capacity? Because ultimately, chances are at this stage, you're the revenue driver of the business. But can you still collect cash? Can you still operate? Can you still do service delivery? Can you still communicate with the clients? Right? And these are chances are if you're an agency, right? That's that side. On the info product side, again, can you communicate with your clients? Can you communicate with the people that have paid to do one-on-ones or mentoring, or you've got a coaching program or your community? Can you communicate with these people? Can you still deliver the service, right? Think about these things and see the impact that it would have on you just disappearing for 30 days. And whatever that impact is the remainder of your own bottleneck. So again, you are the bottleneck, because if you step away and your business stops running, you're the bottleneck. If you step away and none of your team know what they're doing, you're the bottleneck. If you step away and none of your clients have any communication and now they all want to leave because of lack of communication, again, you're the bottleneck. This is all very self-explanatory. But this is a key sign, if you've watched this far in the video, that you need to sit back and actually sit with yourself, because this is probably the best ROI task that you can do right this second. It's going to take you an hour tops to do everything that I said, or maybe you've been doing it along with a video. It's simple. You will make all of your time back and then make money in those hours. Or you're going to spend that with loved ones or doing the thing that you're doing this for, right? So regardless, you're going to get an ROI net positive. So sit with yourself for 30 minutes to an hour, it depends how long it takes, and write all of these things down, and then take action on the bottlenecks. And at the end of the day, like I said, you are the bottleneck. After you've fixed your stuff, then you can look at your marketing, then you can look at your operations, your service delivery, and then your team. But until you are 100%, you can't expect any other part of your business to be 100%, because whether you like it or not, at this stage, you are the core of your business. You can't sell the business. And if you could sell the business, you wouldn't be the bottleneck. It's that simple. But I hope that this all went in well. I hope I articulated myself well, and it made 100% sense. If you have any questions whatsoever about what I said, slap them in the comments and I will get back to you ASAP. I'm going to do my best to put as much value out here on this channel as humanly possible. Bear with me, this channel is just going to be packed full of as much value as I can, maybe not the entertaining kind, but other than that, I will see you all very soon.